Fire exits are located in the directions I am indicating. In case of fire, you will be notified by me via the public address system, or I'll just yell. If you are alerted for fire, please move in a calm, orderly manner to the nearest smoke-free exit, or as directed by me over the public address system, or yelling. Okay, folks.
Councilman Municipal is absent. Councilman Score
Here.
Councilman Kelly.
Here.
Councilman Almarasi.
Here.
Councilman Viola.
Here.
Councilman Petrosky.
Here.
Mayor Hoganson.
Here.
6 present.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, here we start the fun again. We're not in, this is not going to be a matter of our sitting down and saying, oh, how wonderful, we're washing money, but then it never is. So we're going to have a lot of work ahead of us. But I think I'll start by letting Ken give you all the good news.
To start out, surplus was regenerated this year. We had used $1,450,000 in the budget from 2014 out of 2.1 million. We regenerated $1,485,183.27. So we increased the surplus by $35,183.27. So surplus right now is at $2,179,517.21. Some more good news is our tax collection rate. Our tax collection rate went up in 2014 to 98.39%. It's increased in 2013. We had 98.14%. It's a 0.25% increase. The office is very diligent, sending out delinquent notices every month, and towards the end we send it out every 2 to 3 weeks. So it's paying off. Once again, net valuation taxable has gone down. This is the base where we set up the whole budget, what the town is valued at. In 2014, we were at $283,829,128. 2015, we are down to $283,426,810. It's a decrease of $402,318. This decrease, compared to a house assessed at $65,000, means roughly, if everything stayed exactly the same, taxes will go up $3.90 for a house at $65,000. Just so you can put a dollar value to that. Tax appeals. In 2013, we had set up a reserve of $200,000 for tax appeals to use in 2014. We had some appeals in 2014. We were able to absorb them through the regular process of the budget. So we did not touch that reserve of $200,000. And since we had a decent year, we actually increased it to another $100,000. So we have a reserve set up for tax appeals of $300,000 for this year. Unfortunately, though, we still have roughly about 20 tax appeals pending before the state tax court. I know Gail is working with the new tax appeal attorney. They're going to try and resolve them once again this year. It's just the nature of going back and forth trying to negotiate something out. So it sounds good that we have $300,000. That could be wiped away in one property, though. So, but at least we have a basis point, something to help. Starting with the 2015 budget, what we're going to discuss tonight with this budget, we are currently at a 26.9 tax increase, which is $174.85 for a house assessed at $65,000. We're using a collection rate of 97.60, the same amount we used last year, out of a maximum of 98.39%. It's always asked for a tax increase to be zero. We would need to cut about $762,500 in appropriations or find revenues of that amount. So unless we're going to shut down, we are not going to get to zero, unfortunately.
I got about $28 in my pocket.
As far as the 2% tax levy cap is in effect, once again for January 2015, the 2014 amount to be raised by taxes is $785,811.20. This does not include the library. So a hard 2% cap would mean we'd be able to increase the amount to be raised by $235,716.22. If this were possible for us, a house assessed at $65,000 would have a tax increase of $54.06. However, I know we have some new people, so just to explain that, there's two types of caps. There's the levy cap, which is a newer one that the 2% is based on, and that came around through, I want to say around 2010, somewhere in there. There are exceptions that are allowed to be used. So a lot of times people say, well, the governor said you can only raise our taxes 2%, but there are allowable exceptions, such as increases in shared service agreement, health insurance costs, pension obligations, low SAP, capital improvements, debt service, capital leases, recycling tax, deferred charges. So what we're discussing with this budget, our amount to be raised by taxes, not including the library, is $12,530,687.75. Including the minimum library amount of $343,875.75, our amount to be raised is $10,874,563.50. So this is where we're starting out our basis, which is coming up to the $174.85 increase. Our maximum allowable 2% with the increases is $12,476,069.75. So we are over the cap amount by $54,618 right now. So what that means is roughly, I don't even have to ask the question, I know nobody's happy with the $174.85, but the least that has to be done is you have to at least reduce it to $54,618 by either cutting appropriations or increasing revenues to get that under the 2% allowable cap. As far as the appropriation cap side, the allowable increase for this year is 1.5%. And as we've done in all the years past, we do a cap banking ordinances, which we're allowed to raise that up to 3.5%. We are under the appropriations cap. This was the first cap that was ever in play. The tax levy cap is the newer one. We are already under the appropriation cap. At the 1.5%, we're under by $169,500, and at the 3.5%, we're under by the $413,000. So on that side, we're in good shape based on the cap laws. Getting into revenues from this year's budget, the revenues presented tonight remain the same as of 2014, including state aid. The exception is obviously the amount to be raised by tax increase. Cable TV franchise fees, which is the money that comes from Comcast and Verizon Fios, that amount is up by $5,227.96. The surplus we're anticipating is down by $50,000 from last year. The municipal court fines and costs is down by $135,000. That decrease is due to the red light program the pilot program has been canceled and not renewed. So you'll see when we get into the appropriations, there's an offset on that. When we first established this budget, when that program came out, we increased the anticipated revenues from the municipal court to offset the cost of paying for the cameras. So this is, now that it's over, we're taking it out on both sides.
Oh, that's good.
Also out on the revenue side are the one-time revenues that we used to fund the reval, which was sale of municipal assets, assessment trust fund, sewer utility, and current fund surplus that totaled $500,000. Those revenues were one time. It was just to pay for that one-time cost of the reval. So that is out. And on the appropriation side, the reval of $500,000 is out. The state aid that we're anticipating is at the same level of $1,084,086. I have not heard anything, but I've heard that
I haven't heard anything either.
so we are relying that that's going to be the same for this year.
Expecting something different. You never know.
You can't tell.
Can't tell until it.
There are no guarantees, let's put it that way. But we have to work with something. Otherwise we'll
So
never
that's
have to
our basis. And since there's no rumors that I know of, we're leaving it left. And a few years ago, we were anticipating a decrease because it was out there, and if everybody remembers, it did happen. But we tried to prepare for that. As far as mandatory increases, we're looking at roughly $136.59 in mandatory increases, tax dollar wise. Adding that in with the $3.90, we were already starting with $140.49 increase. So, just so you're aware of that. As far as the salaries and wages, all contracts are settled for 2015. They're 2% across the board, except mayor and council took a 0 again this year. So in your section A of your packet, it shows you what the 2015 net valuation taxable is, which we said was $283,426,810. A tax point for this year is equal to $28,342.68. So what that means is every $28,342.68 increases or decreases taxes on a house at $65,000 by $6.50. As of now, the budget we're discussing, the amount to be raised in taxes is $748,761.29, where we came to the tax point increase is 26.9, coming to, like we had said earlier, house is set at 65,000, the taxes are 174.85. Our market ratio in 2015 is 27.50%. And that is a reason why the reval will bring that up to 100%. If you look at section B, section B is showing you as the first draft of the revenues, 2015 introduced to 2014 adopted. As I explained earlier, the surplus anticipated, you're seeing a decrease of 100,000. 50,000 of that 1,450,000 was used to fund the reval, so that was taken out. We were trying to reduce the amount of surplus anticipated this year, but we'll have to do further work with that, so that's the other 50. The municipal court, as we discussed, dropped from 450 to 315. The 135,000 was for the red light camera program. If you turn to page 2, the grant sections, you'll see a lot of decreases there. That's just because right now it's too early in the year. The only grants we are aware of right now is the recycling tonnage grant, which actually was last year's but didn't come in until the very end of December, so that'll be anticipated in this year's budget. The Municipal Alliance program, it looks like a decrease, but the year before they transitioned that grant into a fiscal year grant, which means it's going to run from July 1st to June 30th. this year. So the grant before that was a year and a half's grant, basically. And the Safe and Secure Communities grant program, that has, we've been notified that that funding will stay level this year. Looking a little further down under the miscellaneous ones, as we mentioned, the cable TV franchise fee came in as a $167,208.38 this year. The next three items were part of the reval one-time shots that we used to fund that, and that's where that stands. Section C is your appropriation side of the budget. Sheet 1 is the salaries and wages. The ones that are over 2%, I'll just highlight. Under municipal clerk salaries and wages, I believe everybody saw the letter. If not, Karen will be retiring May 1st. So this is her money in there, plus we're setting up to hire a replacement. It was asked that we try and get a transition in there for a few weeks. So we have that budgeted to be starting for April 13th. So it'll be about a 14-day transition. So, police is slightly over 2%. That's because some officers have step increases. Public Works, that's basically a shift from other expenses to salaries and wages for the superintendent. Code enforcement, slightly up. We had an employee leave up there, and we had to do his time that was due to him. Maintenance and 911 salaries, dispatchers have some step increases also. That's why there is a difference there. So in total, salaries and wage increases are $228,201. Sheet 2 goes through starting with the other expenses on the budget side for departments. Just quickly looking through those, the audit services is up $265. That was the contract price that came in. Public defender has an increase of $3,750. The trust fund account did not have enough money to fund the entire contract award, so that's why that has to be budgeted on the current fund side. The fire department has an increase of $1,000 per their. This is from their initial request. So the police department showing a decrease of $130,700. That's pulling out the red light camera money. And then there's an increase for $5,761 for the contract adjustment for the e-tickets for the new vehicle that had the system installed. That was paid for through the grant for the vehicle. First aid, their budget request has a $150 increase. Emergency management showing a decrease of $27,100. That was to remove the one-time cost that was in last year's budget to do the emergency operations plan. The borough prosecutor, that is $15,000 increase there. That is the new contract. The position was separated. Public Works is showing a decrease. The decrease is from switching other expenses to salaries and wages. Sorry, I lost my wording. There's the request put in for a GPS system for the borough trucks, and the some contractual item increases make that up. Garbage disposal and collection. This budget right now is reflecting 2 bulk waste pickups in here. The bids are coming in, I want to say, towards the end of this month. I don't remember the exact date when the bid opening will be. Recycling has an increase. It's an increase in the regular recycling contract, and also an increase for some of the roll-offs with trees and things of that nature. Buildings and ground, budget request is reflecting a $10,000 increase. Maintenance of vehicles has an $8,000 increase. We did get some new free vehicles, but we have to make sure they're in proper working order and check those over. Board of Health, the contract with Westfield had a $7,534 increase. The main part of that increase was due to state mandated contractual items. Animal control, that's an estimate right now. We should have the final numbers from Woodbridge next week. Also, as was mentioned by the mayor, as your animal control liaison at the last meeting, not everybody has registered their dog, so the revenue side is down there. So obviously whatever we don't have in the trust side has to be made up for the contract through the current fund budget. Celebration of public events. We are showing an increase there. That is for fireworks. Fireworks trust account does not have enough money to fund the whole show this year, so we were able to get away with for a few years not having to budget any money towards the fireworks, but this year we have to start to go back. The utilities, we're just waiting for some of the final bills to come in from December. Once they are finalized, which hopefully will be for next meeting, because we finally received a bunch of them in the mail today, we will re-go through the utilities to try and fine-tune those cost increases. The PERS, which is the Public Employees Retirement System, the employer share of the bill is up $13,442, which is a 5.52% increase. Social Security is based on the salary calculations, showing a $10,000 increase. The PFRS, which is the Police and Fire Retirement System employer share, that bill has gone up $118,293, or 19.28% increase. These 2 bills were a little discouraging. We know there's always usually an increase. We think this was unfortunately just a situation from last year. The governor revised the bills at the very last hour, and I think we got penalized now for that. It's a little bit of a catch-up. But that's my personal opinion. DCRP, which is the new retirement system that the state came up with, is slight increase of $1,300 based on the calculations for the employees in that system.
Going back to the PFRS, could you explain, I mean, I know you did, but there were circumstances. Last year, we got a surplus back.
Yes, last year at the Right, actually, I think it was the day before the bills were due. The governor's office sent out notification that they were reducing the original amounts of those bills, and I think that just turned around and made the increases that much more this year, so.
Right, so last year we got money back. So you think, okay, then all of a sudden, I was there when he opened it up, and it was like, I think we have to put a defibrillator in this building. When you get whacked with something like that, it's coming from healthcare, but the pension system, we got a plus last year, now it was a total deficit this year, so it was a big hit, big hit. Thank you.
The maintenance of the Free Public Library is, their budget request that came in this year is an increase of $51,525. So we will be sitting down with the library. I don't know if we're going to do it through the Finance Committee directly, so we can get it.
I think to start out with, at least we'll do it to the Finance Committee.
So that definitely has to be looked at. Maintenance of 911 is the dispatchers. That is contractual increases. Basically $125 for a clothing allowance increase and $3,300 for the group insurance. The implementation of the Fair Housing Plan, the COA line. The last few years we had to do transfers into there. So looking at the budget, I was trying to set it up originally with the transfer already put in there. We'll have to go back and reevaluate looking at that based on our increase right now. So we'll take another good look at that. Group insurance plan for employees is up $66,000. That's based, we're in the state health benefits, so that's the increase we're looking at there for this year. Good point, workers' comp, first time that I can remember that's gone down. We're looking at a decrease this year of $14,000 there. The other liability insurance has a slight increase of $3,000. The grant section, I'm going to defer just like I did on the revenue side. It's too early in the year to have all those known numbers. We do have the Municipal Alliance grant, which is a grant of $18,582 that matches on the revenue side, and the match that we have to come up with is $4,645. The recycling tonnage also is on the appropriation side for $9,796.76. Bear with me 1 second. And the safe and secure grant is in there for the $60,000, and the match is $233,600. Bond principal, debt payment, there's an increase of $40,000. The interest on bond, there's a decrease of $33,440.67. The revaluation is down. It's out of this year's budget. It was just a one-time cost last year. And the reserve fund collected taxes right now, based on the numbers with the calculation, that's a set calculation based on, it's basically in the budget for people who don't pay their taxes, that everybody else unfortunately gets penalized. Because we have to make sure there's enough money, because the school board gets 100% and the county gets 100%. The municipality doesn't, but we have to make sure there's enough cash to pay their 100% and still be able to balance our budget. So that looks, right now, Based on the numbers, that's a $54,681.92 increase. So the big item, besides reviewing, obviously, the other departments, and I will be meeting with them just for the process of speeding things along and then reporting back to you, trying to get everybody at least back to level services from last year. If not, if we can find ways to decrease some things. The library, obviously, we're going to meet with. Touch base about the fireworks. A note about the revaluation. We should be getting the final, once we reapproved the contract that had to be sent to the county approved it. It is at the state right now for their approval. We just got an email at the beginning of the week. We should be receiving that any day. Notification letters are being sent out by Realty Appraisals to the residents. I believe they were put in the mail today. We are looking to schedule the first public meeting for the reval with the company coming in for the public. We're just waiting for confirmation, so as soon as we get that, we're tentatively looking at Thursday, February 26th for the meeting in council chambers. Once we have final notification, we will get it on the web page, get it on TV 34. We have the council meeting next week, so we can announce it and get it out there. So once we get the confirmation, we will let everybody know immediately so we can spread the word. One thing I need to find out from mayor and council that we ask every year is who's planning on attending the League of Municipalities convention, so we can make sure we have items for that taken care of. Is anybody planning on going from the governing body?
When was that?
That's
November.
League of
November,
Municipalities.
I know that's hard for you.
The week of UPS's busiest season. I'm out.
Unless I can get a note.
From UPS or Sophia.
My mom.
So I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3.
What's the date of
Middle of November. Towards the end of November. 17th.
Yeah, it's usually like the week before Thanksgiving.
17th, 18th, and 19th, I believe.
3.
Getting into the SOAR budget, there's a bright and shining star here somewhere. On the SOAR side, yes. The SOAR budget is down almost $18,000, $17,916. We will not have to anticipate any surplus in the SOAR budget. The joint meeting has a increase of $41,295. The Rollway Valley Sewage Authority had a decrease of $53,461. And overall, the SOAR budget appropriations are down $17,916. Surplus was not fully regenerated. We knew that going into the year because that's where we took the major bulk of money to help fund the reval. So surplus at the end of 14 was $345,099.44. The good news is we were able to get consumption raw data figures from the water company, probably the earliest ever. However, it's in a whole new format, and so we are working with our software vendor to get that converted for billing purposes. So that's where it stands in a nutshell right now.
right now, we're holding the date for the revow. We will know.
Yes, once I, hopefully we'll know by Friday. And like I said, we'll put it on TV 34.
And this, just if I may, the letters are going out to let the people know that it's coming. We will, once we find out that the company has their people ready to go, we will advertise for that night. It'll be a public portion, which we have promised the people, one of 3, that they can come and ask the questions to the professionals. The assistant borough clerk will send out a notice to make it a meeting in case there's more than 4 council people there, that we can discuss it, that it'll be like a normal meeting. Well, not like a council meeting, but in case 4 people do show up, and one of us doesn't have to leave, so it will be
It's under the
advertised
sunshine law.
Maybe like an open public.
to comply with the sunshine law. So the meeting, we are waiting on confirmation from our tax assessor, Gail, to talk to the people, and once that confirmation will come in by the end, hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow, Thursday, I'm sorry, tomorrow they're off because of the holiday, so it will be out ASAP. That I promise. Everybody got that so far?
And that will not be the only meeting.
No, that will not be the only meeting, it'll be one of 3. So we're gonna schedule them at night, we're gonna try to schedule one on the weekend, that the people who work, so forth and so on, can get here. So it will be out there, that the people themselves can come and ask the question to the professional who's gonna be doing the rebound. There was a lot of questions I had over the last few years that I couldn't answer, and I'm not gonna give out false information, or I'm gonna give out lies. So, it's hopefully no later than Friday, we'll have it out there. And once we find out, then you're welcome to put it out on your Facebook pages, go door to door, whatever you wanna do. Okay, Madam Chair?
Yeah. Any of the council members have any questions for Ken or for me, what we just went over?
What holidays do we want?
Lincoln's birthday.
And also, what did we start out last year, average increase per household?
Start out, I believe it was around the same area. I know I can tell you the final number.
$199.
Yeah, $100.10 was the final.
We don't mind, I believe around that, yeah.
Yeah, the final number for 14 was $100.10, but I believe we were up in the $170-something range. More? Was it more? Listen, I've been numbers. See them in my sleep now. So.
We'll have the breakfast.
I was just
I will,
curious,
yeah.
just a baseline kind of where we started.
Let's
at.
round it off, 180 plus last year.
I will report back to you on that.
Yeah.
So I can remember when I came out in 2009, it was 257. We were sitting here cutting like the League of Municipality magazines from 6 down to 1 prescription. That was like $9 saved. So in my 6 years, we've come a long way. And if I may, Council Chair, this budget also reflects 0 layoffs. No layoffs, no services cut, okay? And we are anticipating possibly not 1, but 2 bulks. So, again, I congratulate, unless, I can't congratulate anybody yet, we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. That's what
Services are still there. As you see, the thing for the outside parade, hopefully the Memorial Day parade will still be in. There was talk of Christmas parade,
The town picnic.
you know, the
We're
town
gonna
picnic,
have
so
to
we
do,
see how the money goes. You know, it doesn't say that we can't, you know, ask for, you know, donations. So, right now, I congratulate Ken, I hope we can congratulate him even more at the next meeting, but as of now, there is nobody, services have not been cut. I repeat, services have not been cut.
Okay.
I definitely asked it last year as well, but the quote for one bulk versus two bulk.
The bids are coming in the end of this month, so
Okay.
I can tell you what, last year for the pickup was 18,000. Disposal was 20,000 and disposal was $20,214.09 for last year.
You're anticipating.
I won't tell you what I anticipated in here, because the bid's not in yet, so.
I just wanted to hear.
Anyone else?
This, 4th of July fireworks, is it something maybe we could skip this year? I know a lot of people like it and everything, but if it's something that, we can't afford, we just can't afford it.
Well, this is a thought we can put out and see what kind of response we get from the residents before this is finalized. My gut reaction is that people won't be happy if we cut it, but we will, we'll put it out there and see what kind of response we get. We have a few weeks. I would suggest then that everybody put it on their Facebook pages. You know, if you're going door to door for any reason, or you're in any, any part of your ward, please do ask, how do you feel about this? And, see what kind of response we get.
It's a choice between another bulk or fireworks. It's better with a bulk.
Well, I don't know that we want to put it as a choice between those two. There's other ways we can, and we will have to cut.
Mr. Finance Chair, if you explain the difference between fireworks, the fireworks is 10 grand, where the bulk is gonna cost you 40 grand.
Okay.
So, a $10,000 increase could be like maybe $1 or $2 in your tax, where the bulk could probably be about 8 or 9. So, correct me if I'm wrong.
Slightly off, but.
Ballpark,
Ballpark, like I said, every 28,000, so.
right, it's a tax point.
I'm just, a lot of municipalities have done away with the fireworks because of the cost and putting their house in
Well,
order,
the cost,
Roughly 227, sorry to interrupt, Mayor.
Yeah, no, I'm just
227 would be the firework for $10,000, and roughly at 40,000. $9.16.
So in other words, what he's saying is that if you eliminate the fireworks, you're gonna save the taxpayer $2 and X amount of cents. If you do away with both the fireworks and the bulk, you'll be saving them $11. Do I stand correct?
I didn't hear the whole thing, I'm sorry.
If we eliminate the fireworks and the bulks, the taxpayers are gonna save approximately $12. I mean, plus, that's per point.
Well, they would save, it was 916 or whatever, twice, so that's 1832 and another 227, so 20-something dollars.
So you would save $20. So if you're paying $8,000, you're paying $7,980. But again, put it out there. Penny saved is a penny earned.
Okay. Oh,
One more, last one I wrote down.
Okay.
Part question also, obviously why we're here as far as to discuss the revenue lost from the red light cameras and how to possibly offset it. while,
Tell the police department, back the whip.
and my first instinct, but we also are losing 2 grants, drive sober, get pulled over, and clicker ticket. That
Well, we don't know if we're
No.
losing them yet. It's
Okay.
too early.
Too early.
Those programs come out during the year, depending on state funding, so usually clicker ticket comes in for 4,000. Drive sober, get pulled over. We had 2 grants last year, one earlier in the year for 5,000, one at the end of the year for 7,500. So it's all gonna matter on state funding, and we won't know that now.
Right.
I have been talking with the police department of some things we can try and look at, or ideas, you know, to figure something out to help not see a drastic cutoff from that.
Right.
Actually, we just got a January report for red light cameras, because yes, no more tickets are being issued. It ended on December 16th, but obviously anything prior to that still has to be paid, so. So that's why when we pulled out the appropriation, we also reduced the revenue side, because it washes that out, so there's no tax differential there.
Right.
It's just the excess revenue that we're losing out on. So. But the main goal of the red light cameras always was public safety, which I know at this intersection, but I'll defer that to the chief to give you those statistics.
Right.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the public portion. Okay, somebody want to make a motion that we go into the public portion?
Make the motion, we go into the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public portion?
Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward.
Give your name and address.
Come on. What, you want to stand up there, Eddie?
Sure.
What do we need?
Just, I had really 2 questions tonight, one kind of macro, one micro. The macro question is, I'm sorry, headline 504 Laurel Avenue, Roselle Park. The macro question really involved the senior housing. Oh, I'm sorry. The senior housing, and I watched on TV the reorganization meeting and the meeting 6, and I really haven't heard any discussion about that. And I know the plans called for the rebuilding of the DPW and some substantial costs. I'm just wondering, is there anything that's going to impact that in 2015? And in fact, what is the status of that whole project?
Senior citizens, the senior citizen housing that we, as done by the Dormers Corporation, okay? Every year, as you know, 2 years ago, we did so much as mayor and council to try to improve their application. If we did it this, they got 2 points, to do this, so forth, so on, we did. And last year, HUD, the federal government, did not give any money to Dormers or anybody in this area. So technically, what we're waiting on the federal government to give HUD the money to Dormers to start that project.
Okay.
And that comes out, we should find out by September.
Right.
So if it happens again, that the money is not done, we gotta wait another year, or we're just gonna have to make a final decision to say yes or no, you know, as far as the senior citizens go. Or unless somebody wants to, you know, I did buy a Powerball lottery tonight.
Lots of luck.
So, you know, I mean, the odds are, you know,
You never know.
the odds are phenomenal, but you never know. You gotta be in it to win it, so, you know, I mean, if somebody wants to come in and say, hey, you know, I'll do the $18 million, you know, to build a complex or whatever, but, senior citizens is waiting from Dormers for the money from HUD.
Right.
Number 2, you did, at the last council meeting, our borough engineer is sending out a notice for the committee to meet about the DPW building. And once that is formulated and once the information starts flowing through the committee, it will be flowing up to mayor and council, and that information will be flowing out to you, the citizens.
The 18 million doesn't include
No,
the cost of the, call it the cascading effect of the the actual project itself. It's in an incrementally addition, right?
No,
To build the DPW?
The DPW building, we allocated in our budget
Okay.
over the years.
So
So
you
that
you
$2
have it
million,
in there.
that $2 million allocated just for our building.
Right,
It's got nothing to do with that.
Right.
There was money last year that was granted from the state and the federal government for to help with the cleanup with the environmental issue that is down at the DPW yard. We got like 135,000. So that is there.
Mhm.
But as far as the DPW, that's ours. That's our building. And I just mentioned that once the engineer comes in, gives us the final report on the soil samples, and if there's any problems up there, he'll bring it to the committee. The committee will bring it to mayor and council. Mayor and council will bring it to you, the citizen.
right. So at some point, through debt or whatever, we're gonna have to pay for that, through the municipal budget, the DPW part of this. And the relocation,
We already,
it's already funded,
we've already funded 2.6 million through capital budget.
so it's sitting there already. It's already been accounted for, this is, okay. That's what I was wondering.
If we sharpen our pencil, and if it comes in at, say, 2 million, that's 600,000 we could possibly use for other major projects
Mhm.
within the borough, street repairs, stuff like that,
Okay.
so.
Now to the micro question. Dive down into the minutia of things. I live on Laurel Avenue, and the intersection, I guess, of Laurel and Colfax is probably one of the highest points in town at about 92 feet above sea level, as opposed to Westfield Avenue. Laurel Avenue slopes down all the way to Seton and drops another 20 to 25 feet, half of that in front of my house. The problem, and I brought this up, I guess, a couple of years ago, we've had a problem over the years because of all the trees with Lamonaco Perry Park and all the trees on the border with the athletic field. The leaves come down, and of course when it rains and whatever, all of that washes downhill. And the leaves, I know it's going to sound trivial, but the leaves on those pear trees at Lamonaco Perry Park are the last ones to fall. So we've been having a problem with the cutoff of the contractors actually ending their leaf pickups in the latter part of the year. Because these leaves sometimes on those trees don't fall until December. And I had to call DPW again this year, and after some convincing, had them come out and redo Lamonaco Perry Park or whatever, so these leaves wouldn't all wash downhill during the winter. The effect of all of this is the sewer in front of Lamonaco Perry Monument is the major feed for all the catch basins on that street. And if that thing gets plugged up with leaves and they freeze, as what happened 2 years ago, the DPW had to come out on New Year's Eve and clean that thing out because it was all frozen with all the leaves in it. The water goes across Laurel Avenue and freezes, and then cars coming down the hill end up with potential ice situations there. So all I'm asking is that when you look at the contract for leaves, to consider that there may be areas of town, especially where there's a high population of trees and stuff, where we may need to extend that pickup into the very last part of the year, because it got cut off and there were leaves all over the place at Lamonaco Perry Park and that whole area.
What would happen if by chance, just before the end of the season to run from Webster Avenue going up to the first aid squad, putting up like one of those snow fences to keep it from blowing out into the street? Would that possibly help?
Well, yeah, but then, aesthetically, that really doesn't, what do you mean a snow fence?
The orange stuff, just
No.
to keep it from blowing out there, then we can have the DPW go there and pick it up in one shot.
Yeah. Well, that's one solution. The whole idea is really a timing issue here. Maybe starting to pick up a little later in the year, a couple of weeks, and letting it run through the very end of the year. Because again, those trees, those flowering pear trees at Lamonaco Perry Park, they don't fall until mid-December.
I believe it runs from April 1st to December 31st, the contract. So-
Well, it really didn't that's what I understood, but it didn't work that way. I had to call DPW and again, convince them to come out and do another leaf pickup, because there were leaves all over Lamonaco Perry Park and in the streets and stuff. And we end up picking up, the homeowners on the opposite side of Laurel end up picking most of them up on their property, because they blow across and then they blow down the sewers. And again, you got a 20-foot drop on that hill from
Well,
Colfax
we're just going to have to
down
make
to
sure
Seton.
that the contract is being followed.
Right.
Well, the contract is being followed, I mean, he's there until December 31st.
Well, let's
So,
make sure they're
yeah,
out
he's
there.
talking January, February, here we are.
Well, I'm talking really, just to be sure, through the end of the year even. By the end of the
Well,
year,
we
pretty
can't.
much all the years, the leaves are down.
I mean, unfortunately, sometimes it's just the weather, you know, if it's warmer longer.
And the fact that we just signed a 3-year, we just voted on a 3-year contract,
But if we
right?
go to
That's
December
different.
31st.
Different? Okay.
But if we go to December 31st, but I mean, let's make sure that
Oh, yeah.
it's being implemented
Definitely.
through December 31st.
Yeah, and it was not through December 31st this year.
Well, then
It
that's
was-
what
it
we
was-
need
It
to
was
keep on.
maybe 2 to 4 weeks earlier than that, they said done.
Councilman Petrosky is now the DPW liaison,
Mhm.
so if you have problems, keep on him, and he'll keep on them. We'll make sure it's done. Thank you, Mr. Leonard.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
So,
Oh,
here's in
oh.
150 Berwyn Street. I guess through sheet A for the public. Are each sheet just basically historical reference for, I guess, to 2007?
Yes.
So it's the increase per year for those.
This one.
On sheet B, no, my apologies, C with the salaries and wages.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand when you said municipal clerk and the difference of the 22,000. And then you mentioned Karen and Cal.
Well, it's more than a 2% increase.
Right, but I'm saying, what was
Well,
it?
it includes, she's gonna have, I don't have, it's an estimate right now. She's gonna have buyout, so it includes her buyout of
Whatever is due there.
contractual vacation, personal.
So that's expected to be a one-time kind of a
Yes.
significant increase. Thank you. And then you mentioned the public defender, was that the expenses, I guess that's sheet
Public defender is on sheet
Two.
C,
Page
page
two.
2. That increase is due to, that was part of the RFP process. There's a public defender trust fund. There's not enough money.
So this is just
the
to
cost.
cover that?
That's to cover the balance of the contract.
Okay. And then regard the Board of Health, you said the majority of that was due to state?
Yes, it was, I can give you the specific.
And then while also animal control, why the,
Animal control is, once again, there's the animal control
Oh, that's right,
trust
the-
fund. So
the
there's not enough
licenses.
money in, right, it's just dog licenses.
so theoretically, that could be reduced when people pay up?
Or if a lot of people go out and adopt animals.
That could be,
Better register.
Well, when they register.
Unless they're-
lots of
then they just
money.
do 10 bucks for 100.
A win-win.
that's it. I'm sorry.
No.
Mr. Steve, but I just have another question, maybe someone else could.
Go
What
ahead.
is the
I'm just-
outstanding amount of the fireworks that's needed?
It's about $3,100 roughly
So that's just what's
for this year.
for this year?
Right.
Right, but that's, right, and then it would
And that
zero
doesn't
out.
include, obviously, I don't think the letters have been sent out for donations this year, but
So 3,100, just to make it zero out this year, and then,
yes. And then obviously you have future years to start thinking about.
and then what's the remaining, I'm sorry, I'll let you.
Go ahead, no.
What's the remaining 2,000 then? Because the celebration of events? If it's
Well, the
31
celebration of public events, we've had $2,050 in there. But then there was also talk about expanding some of the parades and things of that nature.
Christmas parade.
Right. So,
And does that include payments for any overtime? Or is this
no,
just?
those
That's done through
overtimes, like when the
salaries.
crossing guards come in, that's just paid through their regular salary
Salaries,
and wage
okay.
lines. That's not included in the celebration of public events.
All right. And also, where's the $200,000 for the COA rehabilitation requirements? I didn't see it on this.
That's capital. The 200,000's in capital. We didn't get into that yet.
Thank you.
It's the TB, STD services that have risen dramatically for 2015.
Is it for sexually transmitted disease?
100% increase in STD and the cost of checks X-rays for TB, making that line item increase by more than state mandated, which is set with fees by an outside vendor, and that is the major
Okay.
reason why.
So the outside vendors'
Yes.
fees. All right. I have a two-part question for the library. it looks like it's gonna be increased, the maintenance of the library. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The amount that's gonna be given to the library.
This is just based on their initial request.
I'm sorry, I'm not talking about
talking
expenses, I'm talking about, in other words, what,
Oh, the minimum requirement?
yes, is that gonna go up,
That's-
down, stay the same?
No, that went up.
That did go up.
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly. If you look at sheet B, 2, under amount to be raised for support of local taxes, the library's there.
All right,
2014, the minimum, this is just based on the minimum required, that's how the law makes us break it out, was $339,991.01. This year it is up to $343,875.75.
okay.
So that means that is the least amount we can
They,
give the library.
that, it's required in other words.
Right.
Now, my question is, once the reval is done, that doesn't affect the amount the library gets, or does it?
It shouldn't, because this is based on the equalized valuation ready, so that's where it's brought back up to full value. So
Okay,
depending on how much our value changes, it could, but
okay, all right.
I don't see it changing drastically.
Dramatically, okay. And then there was, I guess the salary for the maintenance of 911 is different than the expenses. You said the expenses for the maintenance of 911 were uniforms and other such things, non-salary related, correct?
Not, yeah, the increase for maintenance of 911 is a flat $125 increase.
Okay.
For clothing, contractual, and the cost of health benefits for the other $3,300.
All right. And I guess this is for the chair and or the mayor. For the meetings, is it going to be, take for example with the feral cat meeting, is it going to be a presentation and then an open-ended question and answer? Is there going to be a structured format?
I will have to, I will yield to Gail. I will call for it and find out. I
You're
think
talking
basically
about the
it's-
reval, is that what?
The meetings for the reval.
I think basically it's gonna start out with question and answers. As you know, there was a lot of questions that were answered, you know, and a lot of people try to ask questions, you know, wood steps compared to brick steps. I'm not the expert, that's why I said I was not gonna give everybody an answer, because I don't wanna give anybody any false information. So I will check with Gail, she will check with the company, and.
I believe what they'll do is an overview of the process they're gonna go through.
That's what I meant. So it's going to be
So
information
the
and
public
then
understands it, and then.
any questions from them.
Questions and answers.
And then I guess my other question is in sheet E for the sewer. Why the increase in the joint meeting by 41,000?
I just got a lot of those numbers, so I'll have to get back to you on that
I
itself.
can speak to mainly operational costs throughout the year, different contracts, and there were some salary increases. I believe there's one position that was just brought on sort of as a consultant because I believe somebody retired or got sick at some point. That was a large chunk of the salary, and then the rest was just operating costs.
All right, anyone else who would like to ask any questions? No one? Oh,
Hi, my name's Ann Santos and I'm with the Town Planner Calendar.
okay.
I don't know, Mayor, if you can help me with this, whose council to pass it out to? Or keep yours, I hope I've got enough. We did this calendar in 2015, and it was geared towards Roselle Park. It's a lovely piece. Have enough? It's a lovely piece. We have all old-time photos in the calendar that was supplied to us. We have the majority are Roselle Park advertisers. At the back, we've got some information on the people that put it out, but I have some ideas if we're gonna continue it and go into 2016. We've made more space because we help the economy in Roselle Park. The Roselle Park mayor, if you please pass that again. The majority of these advertisers, I worked against the list, and then when I ran out of people to sell, I went out of the area. But now the area's expanded, I can go to all Roselle Park. It could really be your baby. You can give me photos of old time Roselle, you can give me landmarks. Roselle Park, you can give me landmarks of Roselle Park. You can give me events that you have to fill up the pictures. We will give you, and it's in black and white, but we're making a color this year, and we'd absorb the cost. We didn't ask you to absorb the cost. You can have your council and the mayor and all the information you want on this page. I'm gonna make this a restaurant page. I went to the mayor to see if he could subsidize it so I can keep the costs low for the Roselle Park merchants. And I have a much bigger area to work with. I can fill it with all Roselle Park businesses. I asked the mayor if he could subsidize it for $5,000 to keep the costs for the merchants low, the people I sell into. Basically, it would be yours, you can control it. My publisher, he's a lenient man, he'll work with you 100%. It could be your baby. And all the ads will be color.
That's good.
Okay, well, thank you.
I guess you guys will decide, and mayor will get back to me if it's something that you'd be doing.
Yeah, we don't make
Okay,
any
I'm not sure
any
how it
decision-
works.
Yeah, we're not making any decisions on budgeting for a while, so
Okay.
we've got through the process.
And, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Could they, how far out in advance is something like this done? Just,
Well, we need a commitment, and then I need to be able to walk the streets and sell it. Based on all the people I sold last year, I expect half to 3/4 to renew with me. They got the best of service, the ads were perfect. When it was all said and done, even though they paid me, I went back, dropped 10 calendars off per person. They loved it.
is it something like, and I guess what we're getting at is, on the calendar part itself with the dates, if we gave recycling information,
Certainly.
can that be inputted on here?
Certainly.
Meeting dates and things of that nature?
Certainly, in the part here, where you have this information, that's gonna go on the back. You can have the whole back to supply me with information. You know, we wanted to be a Roselle Park calendar, we wanted to work for them. And on this paper, we've revised it to give more advertising space for me to sell, to get more people involved.
How
And
many,
there, go ahead,
I apologize, how many copies? I know you said
5,000, it goes to 5,000 households in Roselle Park. You know, I work with you the best I can, I give you every concession in the world if you guys decide to do it. And I was really proud of it. Imagine, because this is black and white, can you imagine if it's all color? All the coupons are color, the top's color, it'd pop right out.
And we can put all the information on recycling.
Everything.
Everything, one shot, one day.
So rather than mailing out.
Instead of mailing out
and
this
you
thing
have
to
the
that, we
calendar.
can put everything, sit down with them, everybody come together, important phone numbers, recycling dates, this, whatever, we can put everything down.
If you can get all the recycling and garbage information, you could probably use recycling grant monies to
Yeah,
pay for it.
so. And plus the fact that it's business friendly,
Yes.
so.
The only thing is, like, see, for me, like, I need a decision, I'm not saying right now, we're just talking about it now, I just gave you guys the idea and what I wanna do. You can give me the information, like the recycling, what he said, down the road. I would just need a commitment, something in writing, and so I can start selling it.
Right, I understand.
Because I, Roselle
That's not
Park,
done overnight.
I do Union, and I possibly doing Linden, and I sell retail advertising, so I spread myself pretty thin.
Okay, so what are you talking about in terms of the time for a commitment?
Soon, hopefully. I hate for it to die. I worked so hard on it.
Yeah, but are we
to get it.
talking, are we talking about June, or are we talking about April, or are we, when do you need to know?
As soon as you can tell me so I can start working on it.
Okay.
If you need a month, okay. but this takes a lot of time. This
Yeah, I
isn't like
understand,
1, 2, 3.
I understand that, but. you
I
know,
wouldn't need
what-
the information from you.
No, I
as far as what's in
understand
it,
that,
but later
we
on the
have to
road.
figure out the, you know, where we're going with the budget. Okay, all
I
right.
thank you for your time, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for the consideration.
Call yours back.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. You need it just in case?
No, no, you hold on.
Format, okay.
Have a pleasant evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else with any questions? Okay, seeing no one, I move that we close the,
Make the motion that we close the meeting to the public.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Public portion of the meeting is closed.
I don't, does anybody have anything for closed session? I don't.
No?
We need to set up the next meeting. I was just informed by Donna, I didn't know, I have 2 dates listed as Wednesday, February 18th, or Wednesday, February 25th, but Donna just said the 25th is the land use board. I always thought they were Mondays, but.
For some reason, that one is, yeah, I looked
Yeah,
downstairs.
well, it is the 25th, but,
That starts at 7.
I mean, we can, what?
I mean, I'm just, I don't know. You got a few people that are on the board, right?
I am.
Yeah, and you are,
You are.
and the mayor is. You both are.
Yeah, but I
I'm
don't
sorry,
sit
what
there.
day
Oh,
was
you don't
that?
sit. The 20, it's a Wednesday.
Okay,
The 18th?
So they're gonna be 18?
we have the library board, but we can probably be a little later, maybe we start this a little earlier, wrap this up.
What is it?
You wanna go with try the 18th? This way we can,
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer
Okay.
sooner than later, just because the state would like it introduced by March 13th. Our meeting is March 5th, so we're looking to try and get the operating end of it wrapped up and moving, so.
Okay, the 18th, how does that work for everyone?
6:30 and the earliest.
That's up to, I mean, whatever you guys want.
hey,
I'm here.
We'll have to miss the library board.
Next
because
meeting
of
on the 18th, that's just.
this.
yeah.
Okay,
All right.
all right, 6:30?
Like it's a little more good.
All right, I just want you to know.
All right, Don, if you can advertise, please, budget meeting, Wednesday,
Yep.
February 18th at 6:30 PM up here.
We'll do that Friday.
Yes, okay. Well, what, do we want to try to set a subsequent meeting, or?
After the 18th?
Yeah.
And then you need that, Ash Wednesday, just in case.
Well, some things they have to
I don't think we really have another date.
No, it's
Well, they can
Day by me,
I go to 4 o'clock.
Okay, so we're
I'll bring one.
good on
So
that.
our next meeting will be Wednesday, the 18th at 6:30.
Okay. All right.
Okay? That gives you enough advertising.
Yeah, I'm gonna advertise on Friday,
All right.
Friday.
24 hours, 48 hours.
All right, so we're good. Anything else we need to cover? We done?
That's it.
We need a motion.
We need a motion to close the meeting?
I'm sorry.
Wait.
Just, your folders, you're welcome to take them home. If you take them home, you're responsible to make sure you bring them back.
For
No.
notification. For publication.
Okay.
So that's your decision. If you want to take it home with you, you do, just please bring it back.
They have a
You get one folder.
Okay.
I'll bring it back.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I second. All in favor?
It's okay.
All in favor?
Any nays?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Okay.
aye, aye.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, folks.
Huh?